Unrest continues on the streets of the Missouri community where an unarmed teenager was shot and killed. Late last night, police fired tear gas from tactical vehicles as they moved in on crowds of protesters trying to enforce a mandatory midnight curfew that's in effect for a second night. CBS 2's Diane Macedo joins us live now with more on this story. Diane.
And good morning, Chris. Apparently, a lot of people disobeyed that midnight curfew, and it was chaos in Ferguson, Missouri last night. So bad, in fact, that the governor of Missouri is now calling on the National Guard to come in and help restore order. Now, all those clashes came amid the results of a private autopsy requested by the Brown family, and also comes amid the news of a federal autopsy now pending.
More and more as the crowd started coming back, more and more tear gas started being shot, thrown.
Police threw tear gas, protesters threw rocks and more in another standoff last night over the fatal police shooting of 18-year-old Michael Brown.
Molotov cocktails were thrown. There were shootings, looting, vandalism, and other acts of violence that clearly appear not to have been spontaneous but premeditated criminal acts.
The clashes came amid the results of a preliminary private autopsy conducted by former New York City Chief Medical Examiner Dr. Michael Baden at the request of Brown's family. Baden told the New York Times the 18-year-old was shot twice in the head and 4 times in the right arm, and that all the bullets were fired into his front. Attorney General Eric Holder has also ordered a federal autopsy.
I think the federal government has a responsibility to have an independent determination of the cause and manner of death of Mr. Brown, and I think the only way to do that is to have a second person come in and do a complete autopsy.
The teen's death has sparked more than a week of protests, as some say Brown was running away, then surrendering when he was shot. Ferguson police maintain Brown attacked the officer in his car and tried to take his weapon. Given that debate, many in Ferguson, including Brown's family, are anxiously awaiting the results of all of these examinations.
They just want what anybody else would want if their children were shot down in broad daylight. A fair and impartial investigation.
Officials say that federal examination will happen as soon as possible and will also take into account the results of a state autopsy. In the meantime, in Ferguson, they are just trying to restore order and peace again. In addition to bringing in the National Guard, they've also closed the schools in the city for the day due to that unrest. In the newsroom, Diane Macedo, CBS 2 News.